All right, guys, so the outreach I've gotten from you guys has been insanely good. I was really happy to see two people, Julian and Gaia. They both commented saying that they took the deck to set championships and won. One of them said that they went undefeated, and I'm very happy about that because as a chef, the most important thing to me is my recipes are well received and people enjoy them. So congrats on the win. And that kind of leads me to my next subject. Is generally I keep a lot of my recipes close to chest because I want to be able to take them to a set championship or a DLC and have a chance to essentially surprise people. But that's if I put them out, I don't have that luxury. So due to the outreach I've gotten on the last video and the amount of love I was shown, I'm actually going to release 4 deck lists that will kill at set champs. They are going to be amazing. I will go through each individual deck, and at the end, I'll also have a bonus deck that we can go over, and I have a little bit of homework for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, let's get in that first deck list. First up, we have Blurple. Now, this has always been a favorite of mine. Every set I try to make a Blurple deck work. This is, for the most part, very standard for most Blurple lists you're gonna see. The Bell is there, of course, for removal and healing. You have the Hades also there for removal, but as you know, Blurple's biggest weakness is it can't handle wide boards. But with the addition of Elsa, we can handle it a little better because if they go wide, you just exert the characters that are most problematic and lock them down and just try to outquest them. Mufasa is really good in this deck because if you ink quick enough with Sailor Azurite Sea and you get Mufasa really early, sometimes that alone against certain decks can win you the game. So I know a lot of decks personally that I've gone against where Mufasa is like the worst thing for them. So let me know what you think about this deck. If you've tried it, then this might be the one for you. Its weaknesses are anything that makes wide boards, especially with big characters. For the most part, it doesn't do as bad against aggro as I thought, but if it was anything like something that could summon Maui Sharks, some of the other decks that I'm going to be showing do beat this deck because it's definitely its weakness. All right, next up we have Red Purple. Now, this was the deck I was leaning towards for set championship because I knew that a lot of people were going to play Red Purple at my locals, and I knew that this is generally a very safe pick. What makes this to me a safe pick is the re-edition, I should say, of Flynn. A lot of people aren't respecting Flynn right now, so if you go against a red-blue, they're not ready for Flynn at all. You go Flynn, Sisu, if they don't have an answer for that quick enough, you're gonna lock it down really early. Then a lot of, you have the full Madam Mim package, which some people are opting out of. I don't really like the evasive build of this color set with the whole Robin Hood and all of that or the Peter Pan, because my issue is it's meant to beat evasive decks. If you're not going against an evasive deck, a lot of those cards aren't as strong as they could be. And it was primarily built to defeat Maui Shark. And as we saw, that list went against DKP in the finals at a very large tournament and still lost. So even what its primary objective is, it doesn't quite get there. So this build, I'm like, I'm not gonna really worry about the evasives. I'm gonna play for Dragonfire. Dragonfire has been insanely good in this deck. If there's an issue on the board, you just get rid of it. It doesn't matter if they have it at a location that boosts its attack. Doesn't really matter if they're doing all these different things to kind of dodge things like Brawl, Meta Medusa, or having extra characters out for Tremaine. You just remove it. The fact that it's on turn 5 is also helpful because most bigger removals don't happen on turn 5. So most people are bracing on turn 6, turn 7 above. They'll be like, oh, I'm safe on turn 5. You hit them with a Dragonfire and they don't know what to do. Plus, if you're going against another Maui Shark, yeah, bye-bye, buddy. Like, he's gone. And it's just a really good answer to a lot of the problem cards. Like, even Diablo, if somehow they've kept that out for a little while, you can get rid of a Diablo guaranteed on turn 5, regardless if they have the location out. It just feels really good. One big Sisu, 4 be prepared. Maui's Fishhook has been really good for me because I can quest with things like Flynn and it not die. And that's like on the rare side. But if I'm going against the mirror, then they don't really have answers for the most part for a lot of my exertions. Plus, Maui's Fishhook is also there to kill a lot of locations because at my locals, a lot of people play library. If I play Maui's Fishhook and then give any of my larger characters +3, I can probably one-shot their location. So it's very versatile, and if a deck loses to evasives, they're not going to really be able to use any of their characters to get rid of yours. And then on top of that, it's also another way to hit Maui Shark. If they end up playing Maui Shark and he's exerted, you just play Fishhook, give something evasive, and you just one-shot it. So very good. The Queen's Castle has been, it was a test at first. I didn't expect it to actually be good, but my theory behind the Queen's Castle is the library is good. It draws you a lot of cards, but the problem with the library is people can just ignore it if they already have a good game state. The Queen's Castle forces action because it gives you 2, and if you have characters there, you just keep drawing. So the idea of this deck, the way I themed the whole deck entirely, was I want it to play like red-blue Maui. So I want to put out a Maui Shark, I want to put out a Queen's Castle, and I want to have my Dragonfires in hand and be prepared in all of the control cards. Basically, you put out Maui Shark and the Queen's Castle, and let's say he's there, your opponent has an option. They have to either take out the castle or the shark. Most times they're going to take out the shark because the castle's kind of hard to play. Now, it is 7 willpower, so you have to play it a little differently than you would something like a McDuck Manor. You can't just put it out there and on turn 4, you have to wait for a simplified game set. Your opponent, let's say, wipes the board and passes turn, you drop all of your castles that you can drop and be like, good luck. And then they're gonna probably summon something, you're gonna hit them with a Dragonfire, summon another character. They're gonna try to do, and you just keep one-upping them until they're flat out of resources and you have complete control of the game. So think of it, if you've ever played Red Blue Maui, play it like that, and this deck will get you really far. All right, now for the next deck. This has been the most toxic deck I've ever made. I normally don't play like this, but I threw this deck together as a meme, and it ended up taking off and being really good. Now, let's go through the pros and cons. Pros, this deck will always beat red purple, like every time. There's so many things in here that destroy that color combination, and it can beat a lot of decks that are combo oriented because there's a lot of discard. It also can beat a lot of decks that are character centric because there's a lot of destruction on board. Its weaknesses, it's not as strong against steel control decks. If they can just keep hitting you for damage and clearing your board early game, that affects your late game because now your Robin Hood is very bare. But let's go through the cards here to explain how the deck works. So I went with the regular green line, all the Diablos, Ursulas, Prince Johns. It's just really good. First part of the game, this is the play line you're mulliganing for. You want to get these out, get your opponent to start responding to these. So if they have to start brawling your Diablos and getting rid of your Ursulas, that's not such a bad thing, because right when you hit them with the Robin Hood on turn 4, they've already gassed out. There's not going to be much left for them to use to clear a 1/4. Now, when Robin Hood's effect goes off, he mills 4 from the top of your deck. You can choose any action card that's 6 cost or less and play it for free. And the cool thing with that is, with the actions that I chose, you're either getting rid of a card on the board or getting rid of a card from their hand. Sometimes both. Or you're gonna gain some lore. So the cool thing with that is you get your pick with 4. And I play enough actions that since I've played this deck, I've only missed 3 times ever. And if they leave Robin Hood out for more than 1 turn, generally you're gonna win that game, because you're gonna be doing a lot to them. So the Sharks, of course, you're milling all these actions. You want your selection of actions. Hypnotize goes with Prince John, Brawl, Dragonfire. Now, Bend to My Will and You're Welcome. There's a combo in here with this. I only play 1 Bend to My Will because you don't want to hit it off of Robin Hood and, just keep missing. You only need 1 because Robin Hood cannot play this or be prep. But if it goes to your discard, that's not a bad thing, because you can just Maui Shark it back, which I've done several times. So let's say you have a Robin Hood or a Maui that can sing You're Welcome. You want to get rid of a location or an item or a character that is the biggest problem in your opponent's side of the board. You sing this, target whatever their worst card on their board or their best card on their board, and they shuffle in their deck, they draw 2 cards. Normally that doesn't feel good, but then you play Bend to Your Will. So you can do this on turn 7 as long as you have a singer 4 on the board. And now they just lost their entire hand and their most important card on the board. And if you manage to get that off, I don't know many decks that can recover from that, especially now that Hiram is gone. Another cool interaction with this deck, Pirate's Life. You have Ursula on the board and she sings a Pirate's Life. You're stealing 4 lore from your opponent. That hurts. That hurts a lot. You're talking an 8 lore difference off of 1 card, and then it goes on the bottom of your deck. So Pirate's Life in here, of course, very, very good with Ursula, with Maui Shark and everything. So just, this deck is absolutely toxic. But all right, now we are on to the deck that I am most known for, probably in Central Texas. Everyone knows that if I go to a big event, I play this deck, and every time I've played this deck at an event, I've always topped. I think probably the highest I've gotten at a large scale event, I did a 350 man in a DLC in a side event, and I think I got like 20th or 22nd place or something like that. But next deck is Mufasa. I love this deck. I have so many different versions of this deck. I've gotten a lot of set champ top 4s, top 2s. I remember one of them I probably would have won, but I went up against Aaron Rubin, and I was like, damn, if I could have avoided him, I probably could have at least made it to the finals, because this deck was doing really well that day. But let's go over just the generalities, because this deck is very flexible. There is so much you can do with it. I actually can't wait for next set, because there's just more stuff that I can add. So you have the typical damage package. And the way this deck works is it doesn't have a lot of draw power. You have Rapunzel, of course, to heal your damaged characters. And then you have the Queen of Hearts, which will help you draw whenever you attack, or it'll also make your opponent not exert. So overall, that's about all the draw you have. The cool thing is, although drawing is kind of hard in this deck, there's not much of it. If you manage to get off more than 1 Rapunzel, let's say in the first 6 turns, your opponent's gonna most times be in a very bad spot unless, you know, they have a whole new world or something that they can wipe your hand and then they can re-up. But for the most part, every time I get out 2 Rapunzels by turn 6, that's 6 card draw. That's a lot of cards. Gaston is actually the base of this deck. This is what gets this deck to work. You summon Mulan, then Lumiere, and then Gaston. Lumiere is generally in here just to protect Gaston. With Lumiere on board, they can't brawl Gaston. I can't tell you how many times I've had Gaston out and they try to brawl and I'm like, bruh, like Lumiere's right there. You can't brawl him. But they will do it. But the cool thing about Gaston is every time you use him, it's 2 less for your next character. So on turn 4, you can summon a 6-drop. Which could be a Maui Shark, could be a Tremaine, could be Rockstar Stitch if you have it. Or one of my favorites, Abomination Stitch, because this character quests for 3 and is massive. It's gonna be on board for at least 2 turns because turn 4 is really early for something like that to hit play. Against certain decks, I know in the 200 or the 350 man, if I got this out of Blue Steel, they lost. It was over. Like if I got this out on turn 4, they had to hit it with a Zeus and another card. And the thing is, they would have to hit it with 2 cards, and then if I summoned another one right after that, they were gassed out, it was over. But Gaston, if you don't already know, pairs with Rhea. So on turn 4, you use his effect, you pay 2 for Rhea, then you ink 1, then it readies Gaston, then you can use his effect again, and then summon another 4-drop. So you could go Rhea, Rapunzel the very next turn. Then if that lives, next turn, you can go Gaston, ink, Gaston. Now you pay 4 less. So then you can start summoning Maleficent Dragon on turn 5. And everything in your deck. You could summon a Chippendale. So Rhea pairs really well. Mufasa is, although it's a Mufasa deck, it's actually not the main draw to the deck. Yes, it's a great effect. I don't want to ever take this card out, but don't think that you have to play him every game and that it's just a high roll or that you're luck sacking. No, it's essentially there to quest for 2 and your opponent is detiered. Against a red deck, I just leave them on board as an insurance policy. It's like, oh, I know you're going to be prepared, but when you do, I'm still going to be 1 character ahead. So it's not going to feel good. Sometimes Mufasa will hit something that will essentially end the game. If they attack Mufasa and they have a character that's still alive, and you hit an Aladdin, I've had that happen. That ends games. Hit a Chippendale, then add 1 back, the same Mufasa, resummon them next turn, and then I have to be in the same exact game state. Like, there's not much you can do against that. Or my favorite, when Mufasa hits another Mufasa, because it's like they just did nothing. If anything, they just took damage for free. So hitting another Mufasa is even good. Sometimes, and a lot of the time, I hit this Stitch and I just draw 2 cards. So very, very good. But it's not necessary to get the deck going. Really, it's Gaston into these bigger characters early out. Then we have Shift Mulan. A lot of people will not think about the shift line and leave themselves vulnerable, and you just hit them. I was playing a game just last week with this, and I took out all 3 of their characters, and it just ended the game. So that's, you know, pretty standard. And we have Chippendale, very good control. Rule of thumb for Chippendale is if you have a Chippendale in your discard, you target that Chippendale first. So that way you always have recursion of Chippendale. But I mean, it's really good, especially with Tremaine, because you can just keep clearing cards that are problematic in your opponent's side. Maleficent's very straightforward. And then we have You Have Forgotten Me. Now this card has been really good against certain matchups. So as we know, red blue they like to hold their cards in their hand for late game. If you hit them with the You Have Forgotten Me right when they have 2 cards in hand, which is typically after their 4th turn, they are now top decking, and now without Hiram, they have no recovery as easily as they did before. It's also recurable with Maui Shark. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I playing Maui Shark in a character deck? It's really there because I can summon it. It's just a strong evasive on turn 4. Its effect sometimes comes into play, but the fact that it is a 7/5 that's evasive, that can also get me my actions that may or may not be in my discard, that's strong enough for me. And also, when he's on board, people kind of, they don't really like to do really much because the card is intimidating. But if you do have a You Have Forgotten Me or a B Prep Engrave, you can just keep getting it back over and over and over again and just keep discarding. So overall, this is my build. I've changed it many times. I have so many different versions of this. Let me know what you guys think, how you play it. I know some of you guys play this deck, so let me know. In fact, drop your links in the comments for how you would play this deck. All right, now for the bonus deck. This is the monstrosity that me and my boy Ron have been working on. We made it very, very simple. It's all off of Hey Hey. You go turn 1, you play a Popsicle. Turn 2, you play a Sail the Azurite Sea, you ink 1. Turn 3, you ink 1, you play Hey Hey, you play Shift Hey Hey. You get rid of your whole hand. That's 7 cards in your inkwell. Then the next turn, you just don't want to draw another Hey Hey. If you draw another Hey Hey, it feels terrible. But if you can manage to not do that, then hopefully you're drawing a draw card. Like a Whole New World is, of course, the perfect top deck. Vision to the Future, Into a Whole New World, very good. Notice we have quite a few draw cards that can get us to the next card. That's the idea, is you want to refill your hand and then just go ham. Just 4 Mufasas in here because you can summon Mufasa essentially on turn 4 or 5, depending. But it's a very, very aggressive deck. It's kind of like almost like a hyper aggro, but with big characters. It doesn't quite get it on the front end. It's like mid game, it's really aggressive. It just puts out these big monsters that nobody can really deal with that early. I threw in the Talas to see if I could Hey Hey mid to late game into game, which has happened several times. Thing is, this deck is a little clunky. It doesn't quite live up to what I want it to be yet, but with the general rubric of just doing Hey Hey, Mufasa, Sail the Azurite Sea, and as many draw cards, because it did used to play Hiram, and that was what made this deck work. But once Hiram got hit, and we also lost the other 1-drop item, that slowed the deck down. That meant that I can't just draw my way into refilling my hand into a Whole New World. So I know with next set, there are a lot of cards that would fit in this. So let me know what you guys think with what you would do to this deck currently or even next set, because I see quite a few cards that are going to fit in this deck and could actually make it a really good contender. I mean, who doesn't like getting out really big characters super early and just laughing because your opponent has to deal with them? So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I loved your comments. We are growing very fast. Thank you guys so much. I think we jumped up over at almost 100 subscribers over the last video. So if you like content like this, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff like this. I have some more plans in the future. Also comment down below what deck you want to see built in the next set after release. I will pick which deck that I like and which idea I like the most, and I will design a recipe for you guys. So let me know in the comments below. But this has been fun. This is Chef with Quest for Game.